His name is spoken in prayer over 1 billion times every single day. He is arguably the most influential human being to ever walk the earth. But before the empires, before the global following, he was a child with nothing. No father to protect him, no mother to hold him, no wealth, no status. In a world ruled by tribal bloodlust, he was the ultimate outsider, an orphan in a land that didn't value them. Yet by age 40, he didn't just change Arabia, he rewrote the future of humanity. This isn't just a religious story. This is the raw, historical reality of a man who turned the world upside down using nothing but his character. This is the real story of Prophet Muhammad, and it's not what you've been told. Imagine 6th century Mecca, a brutal, unforgiving trade hub. If you didn't have a powerful father, you didn't have a voice. Prophet Muhammad was born into this world in 570, but he was behind from the start. His father died before he took his first breath. When he was 6, his mother was gone too. By the time most kids are learning to read, Prophet Muhammad had already learned the heaviest lesson of all: loss. He grew up in the shadows of a tribal hierarchy. But something strange happened. In a society where everyone lied to get ahead, this orphan became famous for the one thing money couldn't buy: integrity. Even those who would later become his greatest enemies called him Al-Amin, the trustworthy. He didn't have a crown. He just had a reputation that was bulletproof. At age 40, Prophet Muhammad wasn't looking for a revolution. He was looking for answers. He would retreat to a tiny cave called Hira, questioning the greed and injustice of the world below. Then, one night in the year 610, the silence broke. A presence so overwhelming it felt physical, a command that shattered his world. Read. His response was, "I cannot read." He wasn't a philosopher or a poet. He was an unlettered man. Yet, what poured out of that cave became the beginning of the Quran, a text so powerful it would eventually change the course of human history. The message was a return to the God of Prophet Abraham, Moses, and Jesus. One God, one truth, equality. And in Mecca, that message was a declaration of war against the status quo. In 7th century Arabia, if you didn't want your baby girl, you could bury her alive. It was normal. Prophet Muhammad stood against it. He gave women the right to inherit and own property, rights many Western women wouldn't see for another 1,000 years. He shattered the social ladder. His closest companion, Bilal, was a formerly enslaved black man. When it came time to call the city to prayer, Prophet Muhammad didn't pick a nobleman. He picked Bilal. It was a direct challenge to the racist and classist structures of the time. But change like this comes with a price. For 13 years, his followers were tortured. Prophet Muhammad himself was mocked, stoned, and targeted for assassination. Mecca had become a death trap. In 622, he was forced to make a desperate choice. Under the cover of night, Prophet Muhammad and his followers made a daring escape. They left their homes and everything they owned, traveling 280 miles across the desert to an oasis called Medina. This was the Hijra, the Great Migration. In Medina, the story shifts. The orphan becomes a statesman. The refugee becomes a leader. He drafted a constitution that protected the rights of Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike. He wasn't just preaching anymore. He was building a society based on law and justice. But Mecca wouldn't let him go. Battles followed. Years of tension. Until finally the tide turned. 8 years after fleeing for his life, Prophet Muhammad returned to Mecca. But he wasn't alone. He was leading 10,000 men. The city that had tortured his friends and tried to kill him was now at his mercy. Everyone expected a massacre. That was the law of the desert. Revenge. Prophet Muhammad stood before his former oppressors and asked, "What do you think I will do to you now?" They replied, "You are a noble brother." Then he uttered the words that still echo through history. "Go, you are all free. No blood, no revenge, just a level of forgiveness that the world had never seen." Beyond the leader was a man of startling simplicity. He lived in a mud brick house. He mended his own clothes. He was the man who would stop an entire army to protect a nursing dog when a woman who spent years throwing trash at him fell ill. He was the first to visit her with kindness. He didn't win hearts with a sword. He won them by being the best to those around him. Napoleon Bonaparte studied him. Mahatma Gandhi admired him. And Michael H. Hart ranked him #1 in his list of the most influential people in history. Prophet Muhammad was not a myth. He was a man who turned pain into purpose and changed the world forever. So, what part of his journey surprised you the most? The orphan, the refugee, or the conqueror who chose peace? Let's talk in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, because this story is far from over.